Good evening, everyone. Today we have with us Mr. Mohammad Salman. He's the director of career management services at Soil Institute of Management. And today in this webinar, we will be focusing on the last placement season, like the current placement, like 2022-23, and what kind of efforts that our team puts in developing students' ability to get better placements or like better job roles, etc. And over to you, sir. Like you can better address the crowd.
Thanks, Talay. So very warm good evening to all of you. My objective over the next hour or so would be to take you through where we are in our current placement process, as Talay just said, and also give you a good idea of what we go through with all of our students in terms of ensuring that they are better prepared and better set up once the placement process actually commences. What we'll have is, yes, as the chat box message says, I shall speak, for the first few minutes, and thereafter I want to focus on all your questions because my understanding is you would already have a fairly good idea of what soil is and our program and everything else. So I'll not spend time on that. I will only focus on the career side of it. So without any further ado, I'll begin by just briefly telling you about myself. I am I've been here at Soil for the past 5 years and a bit now, and prior to that, spent nearly 30 plus years in the IT industry as going through the ranks. Finally, was a senior leader with companies like HCL. Always had this desire to work with students. So therefore, after my IT stint got over, I joined Soil, and it's been a wonderful journey ever since. Our team, because career management services is all about the team that actually brings the opportunities to you, number one, and number two, helps you prepare better. Both these things are equally important. The opportunities have to be on the table, and it is equally important that all of our students are fully prepared to crack these opportunities. So we have a team in both our campuses. I take charge of both these campuses, the 1 year and the 2 year program. And our combined effort results in, all the significant companies coming to the campus year on year. And of course, we keep adding to that list every year as we go along. There have been quite a few new additions this year, for instance. So I'll start off by briefly letting you know where we are in the current process. In the 1 year program, because all of you, I understand, are planning to sign up or you're considering the 1 year program. So in the 1 year program, where we admit students with prior work experience averaging around 3 to 3.5 years, we had a batch of 104 this year, comprising of students across a variety of disciplines. Quite a few of them came with work experience in industries like IT, e-commerce, consulting, manufacturing, retail. So we get our students from a variety of industries. And out of these 104, as of today, we are done with nearly 78 to 80% placements, which means we are close to 80 altogether. And for the remainder also, the remaining students, there are very good opportunities on the table. Just this afternoon and this evening, there have been a couple of processes going on. So we expect more results coming in by the end of the day. Um, if I am to assess what has happened thus far in the current placement season, are from a data point perspective, we are averaging close to 11.5 lakhs per annum as far as our mean salary is concerned. The median is slightly below that. It's closer to 11, just above 11. Our highest figure has been around 19 lakhs. And of course, the lowest we take in the campus is around 8.5. So we do not accept any roles below that, compensation level. And that is precisely what this season has also yielded. Now, in terms of the highlights, besides, some of the top companies, we've had Gartner, we've had Accenture, we've had, all the IT majors from Cognizant to HCL, Wipro, everyone has been to the campus. Top banks have been to the campus as well. We've had good roles in segments like automotive and manufacturing. We've had very good roles in consulting as well. So overall, it's been, I would say, an excellent all-round representation of industries. And based on that, the students' placement figure, as I said, is close to 80. And our target is to complete the entire batch over the next 15 days to 1 month at the outside, which means by mid-March, we are very confident that we'll be able to place the entire batch. I will next turn to what gets us there or the activities that are involved. So as I said at the outset, one part of our team works on ensuring that we get the best possible companies to the campus, companies which cover a diverse spectrum of industries, roles. And there's another set which works on ensuring that the students are adequately prepared. That's the CDS side of it, what we call the career development services that we have. In this career development effort, of course, our faculty also plays a major role, and not just the faculty. We also invite a lot of our alumni from past batches. As you must be aware, SOIL is now a 14-year-old institution, and we have close to 1,500 plus alumni who are working in excellent roles in some of the best companies, both in India and globally. So that is a very large pool for us to tap into, and our alumni relations are so strong that we never have a situation where an alumni whom we approach for help for our students refuses. And that's never the case. If anything, they're always delighted to help out and be a part of, helping the SOIL family move forward. So we have multiple levels of career development help that we offer. The alumni, as I just mentioned, plus a lot of our corporate partners also contribute in this regard. We get a lot of industry experts who are able to come and brief our students on the company that they're applying to and on the specific role, the job description that they've applied against. So for instance, just to take an example, we had Infosys on the campus recently, and they had close to 15, 16 roles on offer. So it meant that we had to call in that many number of experts at the minimum to ensure that each of the job descriptions or JDs were thoroughly addressed and all the questions that the students who were applying for these roles had got answered. So therefore, as I said, it's at the faculty end, at the alumni end, and at our corporate partners end that our help in terms of preparing our students better comes in. And of course, this is a year-long effort. This is not something which simply commences with the start of the placement season. The placement season, of course, kicks off for us around October, early to mid-October is when we started. And, it's a rolling process. The bulk of it really gets done in the next 2 to 3 months, but the rest of it, as I said, we complete by, February, March kind of time frame. So the preparation that I was just talking to you about, over and above this help that comes in at the time of placements, we start this process very early. We start it as early as right after the batch commences in the month of May. May to April is how our 1 year runs. And we start the preparatory process almost straight away. As a part of this, you will be administered aptitude tests on a regular basis, and we monitor and track your performance through those tests to ensure that all our students are not just able to clear those tests, but they steadily improve their performance, because that is a very key part. The aptitude test brings out a lot in terms of your ability to analyze, your ability to do critical thinking, your ability with vocabulary and otherwise. So it would be very akin to the CAT and GMAT exams that some of you may have written or are planning to write. So we start with, and these aptitude tests are administered on a regular weekly basis for nearly 10 to 12 weeks to ensure that all of our students come up to a certain level well before the placement starts. Then we have case analysis and extensive interviews based on case analysis, because a lot of companies use these tools for the selection process also. So we ensure that our students get adequate practice in this. There are group discussions. We do at least 3 rounds of mock PIs for each student of ours. And these mock PIs, we ensure it covers a gamut of topics, not just the current affairs, but, what is happening in the world of business. What do we see as trends in technology? All of these topics get covered very nicely in these practice GDs that we administer to our students. And over and above all of these, we ensure that there is a regular round of PIs or personal interviews that each student gets to practice on. So in fact, just prior to coming to interviews, I'll just take a couple of minutes to talk to you about the mentorship program that we have, because that is very critical and it's a major part of what we do at SOIL. We are the only, B school that has 2 separate levels of mentorship. One is your internal mentor, which could be somebody like us, somebody from the faculty, folks that you are interacting with regularly. And the second level is a very critical level. This is the external mentor that each of our students gets assigned to, a unique external mentor. Now, these external mentors are some of the top industry leaders, ex-CHOs. There are even some current CXOs who are a part of this. And others, it's not just CXOs, it's a lot of people who have played strong, meaningful roles in industry over the years and continue to do that. So a student gets assigned to an external mentor, and that mentor guides the student right throughout his or her journey at SOIL. So that is a very, very key part of what we do. And the reason I just brought up this is our external mentors also help out with mock interviews. So, your mock interviews could come from one of us, it could come from the external mentor, it could come from our alumni, as I said, that entire list which I was talking to you about. So that is how we prepare you. And as I said, it's an ongoing process. So even today, We have around 20 odd students who are yet to be placed. And for each of them, there is a clearly mapped program of preparation that is underway on a regular basis. So it's not as if it's a one-time activity which we conduct and then, just let the students into the placement process. We continue to do this on a regular basis. That is actually the key to succeeding in this particular space. In terms of those students who um, have not been placed yet, we do an individual mapping for each of them. When I say individual mapping, means we look at their CV, their background, what kind of industries they worked in, what kind of roles they played, and we also proactively present their profiles to a lot of the other recruiters that we know. So therefore, it's a year-long effort, which is why our team is extremely busy right throughout, and at both our campuses. So this in a nutshell is where we are. I have covered all the things that I wanted to talk to you about. Now I'll be very happy to take your questions. So please do keep typing them into the chat box and we'll take it from there. If you want to start right away, you can just start typing in your questions. I'll be very happy to answer anything. And these could, you don't have to restrict yourself to any specific topic in the career space. Could be across the board in terms of your background. It could cover industries, anything that you want to ask, or anything related to the placement process, the training process, the career development process. I'll be very happy to answer that. So please go ahead, and I look forward to your questions. So the first set of questions are already there. I'll start taking them up one by one. So the first question is about the admission criteria, and I'll have our admissions team respond to you on this. The criteria and any entrance exam, yes, we do have an entrance exam. And I would request those of you who are typing in questions to also mention your names. It will help me identify you better so that our interaction can be more meaningful. So admission criteria in terms of the exam, we have there is a psychometric test that each of you is required to write out. Plus, there is a very extensive, there's a case that we ask you to solve when you are there for the admission process. And of course, there's an extensive interview with our panel, which could also include, our corporate partners. So yes, the admission is in full process right now. Placement percentage of the previous year, that is the next question. So our entire batch from last year got placed. The person hasn't mentioned his name, so my responses to this question. The entire batch got placed before the convocation. Our convocation is always in the month of May, so we were able to place the entire batch. Praveen is asking, if your average is 11.5, will it be worth for me to join, as I already made 8 lakhs with 3 years work experience? My answer to you, Praveen, is average is not what you should aim for. An average is an average. You should try and aim for exceeding that average comfortably. And as I said, this year we have had students placed in the 16 to 18 bracket as well. So the average is only an indicative figure. There are excellent roles which come in at significantly higher numbers as well. So you need not restrict yourself just to the figure that I've shared on average. And by the way, even an 11.5 for somebody who's making 8 right now would not be a bad bet at all. I do understand you'll be investing a year worth of effort in this program, and of course you do have to invest your hard-earned money as well. So I do realize that, but I think it'll be well worth it. And don't just look, if you just look at compensation as the sole criteria, then you are possibly missing the point. This program will give you the ability to modify your stream. For instance, we get a lot of students with prior work experience in IT who then want to switch to HR or to finance. I'm just taking that as an example. Conversely, we have people coming in from manufacturing with a supply chain background who want to move into sales and marketing. So you get an excellent chance to get the role of your choice as well. So Praveen, look at it in that larger context. Don't just look at it in terms of the salary. Praveen has also asked if there'll be a lateral placement option in PGPM and PGDM. I'm not too sure I understand, but lateral placement for us means, and we start that process typically around now, which is um, mid-February or thereabouts. The lateral placement means we bring in some companies with lateral roles. That is, you will have to get selected against competition from others as well. It's not just restricted to the campus. So yes, that process will be commencing in the next few days. Kritika, I believe, had just raised her hand, so I'll just come to you. Let me just finish with these questions here. Sumit is asking, what is the minimum score needed in CMAT for getting a call? My suggestion, Sumit, would be if you could raise this with our admissions team, they'll be able to help you out with more precise answers. I do not want to give you a figure which may not be 100% accurate, so I'll pass that. Again, another question on CMAT. Next question is, does SOIL accept SNAP score scored 81.44? Again, my request is all questions related to admissions, if you could please, and we could have our admissions rep address each of these questions for you. If you could just direct your placement and careers related questions to me, I would appreciate that. The SOIL on the next few questions are all related to your admission criteria. Next one, which seems to be related to careers, is can we get a job overseas, like in Europe, if we want to do MBA? So we have an exchange program with some of our partner schools. And that would be my answer to you. Can you get a job thereafter? Thus far, we have not really gone international with our placements. There are a few placements we've done previously in the Middle East, but none in Europe, that I can tell you. I mean, I would like to give you absolutely accurate information on this. So this is something which can start, but hasn't yet started. Apurva is asking deadline for registration. Again, our admissions team will let you know that. My understanding is you can still apply at this point in time. Abhishek Tripathi is asking, I want to know about PGPM HR as I'm a fresher, BCom graduate. What do you think I should apply for PGPM or PG? Look, Abhishek, for HR, we do take students without prior work experience as well. So if you are a fresher, that should be absolutely fine as far as HR is concerned. However, the PGDM option is also open to you because the PGDM is largely for students who do not have prior work experience. So for you, both the options are fine because you want to specialize in HR. Then there's a question which says, can we cope up with the hectic schedule as PGPM is a one-year program during the placements? Yeah, so that's a very good question. I don't know who's asked it because it says anonymous here. My answer to you would be, if you go in for this program, you do have to be prepared for a very, very hectic schedule. You've absolutely correctly analyzed it. When we are compressing, a 2-year course material into 1 year, literally, that means there is added pressure on you in terms of the courses that you have to attend, in terms of the tests and exams that you have to write, in terms of the assignments that you have, in terms of the case studies that you have to present, all of that. So I would say you should be prepared for a very, very hectic life. And yes, the placement activities and placement preparation runs parallel. So you have to, be prepared morning till evening to really slog it out. That is the very nature of the beast, if I may say so. There's no getting away from it. My suggestion would be, if you are prepared for a hard grind, then you should go in for this 1 year program. There are no easy cuts to it. You do have to put in that effort. I'm not saying that our students don't have fun. They have plenty of fun, and there are other ways in which our curriculum ensures that you'll have a lot of opportunities to ease off and relax, but be prepared for the hard grind. Then online interview or offline, I think we are the bulk of the interviews that we are doing and the process that we are conducting currently this year is online. So that question again you should address to the admissions team. Then we have Surabita Mandal, who's asking if the 1 year PGDM HR course is worth for a fresher. So I've just answered that, Surabita. I hope you've got your answer. If you are applying for the HR program, you are absolutely fine in either of the two, programs, both PGPM and PGDM. Kritika has now typed in her question. What is your view on the 1 year course of soil for freshers with no commerce background? Kritika, for the business leadership program, BLP, we do not admit students in the 1 year program with no prior work experience. For HRLP, we do, as I said just a short while ago. So if you are wishing to specialize in HR, then yes. Your commerce background is fine. That is not the issue. The issue is whether you want to go for BLP or HRLP. So for BLP, you cannot go in with without prior work experience. Okay. Then the next one is, are we eligible if our 10th percentage is not that good? So I don't know what not that good means, Ashi Purohit. My take is, and I'm glad you asked this question because it's very relevant. Look, while we may not put in an admission criteria, we certainly expect students to be carrying at least 60% in 10th, 12th, and graduation. We do not say that you will not get admitted to the program if you don't, but the reason I'm making this statement is a lot of our recruiting partners expect a minimum 60%, and they set a cutoff for all these three: class 10, class 12, and graduation. Now, this doesn't mean that you will not get a job if you don't have, or you are slightly below 60%. It doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is that, yes, quite a few companies may not, find you eligible, and they may not shortlist you. So that is, the answer that I have for this. You should make up your mind. You will be eligible for some roles, but not all. Chitti Ranadhir is asking, is it good for non-engineering student, BSc Agri with no work experience to opt for HR? I would say no issues with your past, with graduation background. In HR program, we do not have a problem if you do not have prior work experience. So you can go ahead and apply for it. Anurag is asking, the data that you have shared includes PGPM HR as well. Yes, the answer is yes, Anurag. I was giving you the average figure, including PGPM HR. And HR average by itself is also fairly close to it. It might be marginally below BLP, but it is fairly close. So it's not that far apart. Question is related to academics. How much in terms? So that, again, as I said, I'll request my admissions team to answer that for you. Anshuman is asking, I completed Master of Technology in Nano and I worked as research fellow in CSIR. I want to change my career and work as consultancy firm. How joining soil will look? Anshuman, the experience that you have in research will hold you in good stead. So I do not see your experience being a disqualifier. What you should be clear in your mind is, what is it that you want to be doing and which area would you like to specialize in? As long as you're clear on that, the program will be of benefit to you. Your past work experience, whether it's in research or in any other area, is going to be relevant and you will be able to relate it to your future career aspirations. So I do not personally see a problem with this. Next question is from Antra. I would like to understand the PGPM program, like its placement, and does it have? Yes, Antra, we do have specializations, 4 of them as a matter of fact. We have a specialization in marketing, finance, HR, and analytics. That is how our specializations run. She's also asking, will it be profile-based selection? I'm not too sure. Yes, the broad answer to your question is yes. You do have to apply either to the HR leadership program or the business leadership program. That is if I've understood your question correctly. Does soil provide placements in operations? And another question. Answer is yes, we do get some roles in operations, not that many. Not that many. Operations is not one of our bigger strengths, but students with a prior operations background are able to successfully find good roles at soil. That much I can tell you. And yes, we do get some roles which are purely in operations. The soil play, I think I've answered that. What about someone having experience of 12 years and wants? Amit, this is a tricky question. I'll give you a very honest answer. We have had students, if not 12 years, at least in that 8 to 10 year bracket, who have been able to successfully transition from their current role. However, again, I am the last person to ever give you a false picture. Placement for people above, let's say, 7 to 8 years experience does become slightly challenging because the bulk of the roles which come to the campus are for that 2 to 6 or 2 to 7 or 2 to 8 year kind of experience bracket. In HR, of course, we get fresher roles as well. But in BLP, bulk of the roles are in that 2 to 8 year kind of bracket. Does this mean you will not be able to get a job? No, it doesn't mean that. We have, as I said, been able to place students with 10 years kind of experience successfully. The current batch, the batch which is currently running, there's one student with 10 years experience who's just got placed. And he's got an excellent role in Infosys. So it's not as if you will not get a job, but it is more challenging. That I will not hide. And I want to state that clearly so that you are able to make up your mind based on factual information. Then the next interview, again, I've answered that. Currently working in an international NGO in a research role. Would it be possible to get a career switch? My answer to that is yes. My answer to that is yes, you can make a career switch. We have had students with diverse backgrounds like yours who have managed to successfully change careers. So I do not see a problem. I'm responding to Indranil here. Jay Shankar is asking, is there any exam conducted itself? Yes, Jay Shankar, there is an exam and our admissions team will brief you on all the details. Apurva is asking, can you please let us know more about PGDM in business design? Apurva, that is a separate program. While it is a part of our Soil Institute of Management, that's a separate 2-year program in business design. And yes, while I do have information on that, I do not want to spend the time of this particular webinar answering those. My request would be you can get in touch with our admissions team in PGDM and they'll be able to help you out with that. Exams conducted, again, I'll let our admissions team address those. Minimum package a fresher gets in PGDM 2 years. Sumit, the minimum package that we bring to the campus is around 8 lakhs. So this is for both campuses. We do not go below 8 lakhs. This year we have not, and I'm very sure next year that number may perhaps even go higher. So that is where it is. I can only give you that information. Tell more about actual HR roles. Abhishek Tripathi, my answer would be there's a number of HR roles we get. We get roles in HR business BP, which is business partner. We get roles in talent acquisition, learning and development. We get roles in comp and ben. So it's across the board. We've also started getting a lot of roles in HR tech, in HR analytics. So it's a very wide spectrum of roles that you can expect to get in HR if you join that program. Shaurya Singh is saying blank CV, what to do? Shaurya, my answer is I've already given. If you wish to apply for HR, then blank CV doesn't matter. We do take students into the HR program without prior work experience. Rahesh SP is asking, I have 59.5% in graduation. You are very close to that 60 mark, Rahesh. I would say you should be okay. You should be okay. I've already answered the question in detail earlier, but 59.5, you should be largely okay. If I were you, I would not have too many concerns on that. Vamsi is asking if we need to go through any summer internship. No. In the one-year program, we used to have a summer internship earlier, Vamsi. We don't have it anymore. Not anymore. The reason is there is very little time left as it is. And so what we do is students take on internship in their own time, which means they work evening hours or they take on live projects to help them prepare for future roles. But there is no earmarked time frame for an internship project in the one-year program. Does soil provide placements in operation? I've already answered that. Parinita is asking what type of work experience. Parinita, we do not, pinpoint the type of work experience. Most types of work experience work perfectly fine for us. The only condition is you should have had a regular job and you should have pay slips, appointment letters, and relieving letters. Those things are absolutely essential for your work experience to get qualified. We do not put a restriction on which industry you need to have worked in or what role you need to have worked in. Jay Shankar is asking, is there any exam conducted itself? So this I've already answered. Does soil provide placement and operations? I've already addressed that. What do you suggest? Some key points for PGPM students that we should keep in mind before joining, especially for freshers. My take is, and this is a question that Abhishek Tripathi has asked, freshers are only eligible for the HR program. That is number one. I've already repeated that a few times. All you need to be prepared with is a good, positive learning attitude. If you have the ability and the desire to learn, you will find that this program will benefit you and you will be able to get placed as well. So don't worry too much about that. Just go ahead with it. Then I'm trying to see any unique questions. Any specific MNC coming for operations? So as I've said, operations roles are few. We do get a few every year, but if you are to ask me for MNCs, I would say possibly not. We do get a lot of some Indian companies for operations role, but not that many. Fee of PGDM, that team will be able to provide you. Anonymous has again asked this we have answered. Business analytics. Yes, absolutely. So Shaurya has asked whether business analytics is there. That is a very key part of our curriculum. If you specialize in analytics, you will learn both data science as well as business analytics. ZAT percentile of 6, can I get shortlisted? My suggestion would be please address this to our admissions team there. And by and large, my feeling is yes, but I would let them answer it. Shubham has put down his profile, 6.4 CGPA in 10th, 62%. BTech is the concern, Shubham, for you. Work experience is 4 years. That should be something to your advantage. But as I said earlier, you may not be eligible for some roles, particularly with technology and IT companies, because of your lower percentage in graduation. So that's something that I do not wish to hide, and I've made that clear in my previous answer as well. Then I'm trying to see, so that it'll be. Look, this question on AICT approval for PGPM, my sole answer to this is reason we've not done it over the years. Our 2-year program is AICT certified. The reason we have chosen not to go in for AICT for the 1-year program for 14 years now, this is a fairly old program, is because of the solid 32-member industrial consortium that supports this program. And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. You know, some of the best recruiters come to us regularly. Our certificate is not challenged anywhere. So I would say you should not have too many worries about that AICT listing for the PGPM. Successfully for 14 years, I see no reason for you to be concerned. Strength area, Subhajit, but if you pursue the 1-year program at SOIL in HR, you will have plenty of other options to choose from. That's the only thing I can say. We may or may not be able to get you any role in a CSR or NGO kind of a organization, because that is not the focus for our business management program. Then I'm going to the next question. PGPM degree will affect the future growth for a fresher, and sir, do PSUs? I would say yes. I would say, I mean, I've already answered that. Our program admits freshers into HR, and there is no reason why PSU or any other company will not find you suitable. Course timing for 1 year, Deepak wants to know. So we start in the first week of May, and we end up in the last week of April. There was some, disruption to this during the time of COVID, but now it's, gone away completely, and we are on regular schedule. The blank CV, I've already answered that question. Difference between 2-year PGDM and 1-year PGDM. Your question seems to be for HR. My take is, obviously the HR program in 1 year, being a 1-year program, is very tightly compressed. So again, the same argument that applies to BLP applies to you as well. You should, go ahead with it. In my opinion, you even if you do not have prior work experience, you're fine. Okay, what is the batch size of SOIL? I just answered. For the 1-year program this year, it's 105 in the current, 104 rather, for the current batch. Next year, we are expecting, which means with the batch for which you are applying or you can apply, will be larger. We are expecting a batch in the 120 to 130 kind of range. Abhishek Tripathi, again, bit personal, but do you suggest your own son PGPM HR and he's a fresher? So Abhishek, I think I've answered that question several times. There are 2 freshers in the current batch in PGPM HR. Both of them have got very good jobs, and you can check this out with the batch. So I will not say that you stand. Yes, there may be some roles for which they won't consider you because of lack of experience, but there are several other roles for which you will be considered. So go into it with an absolute confidence that you're going to get through. I hope I've answered that. I'm sorry if I'm having to repeat myself on this. That's because the same questions been asked by so many people so many times. Fee structure, our admissions team will give you. Cutoff score, again, I'll not get into that. I've answered it. Jai Shankar Malviya, I've already answered your question on eligibility and percentages. Intermediate. You're absolutely, Chitti, Ranadhir, you are absolutely eligible. I see no problems with that whatsoever, the scores that you have listed. Then coming to the next unique question, is that 1-year program students get better placement? Look, the average salary tends to be slightly higher, but a lot of the roles which come to the 1-year program also go to the 2-year program. Now, Some companies have a clear preference for students with prior work experience, but on the other side, on the flip side, there are some companies which only go to 2-year programs. So we get a mix of both. So I'll not say there's a clear advantage. You will certainly, the average salary for the 1-year program has been higher last year as well and this year as well than the 2-year program. That's the only information I can give you on this. How can one withdraw admission? Again, I'll not be able to attempt that. Companies come for pan-India locations. No, we get locations all across the country. In fact, my sincere advice to all of you would be, if you have severe location restrictions, then you're going to face some level of problems in your placement. So somebody says, I only want a role in Gurgaon or Noida or Bombay or Chennai. That will make it problematic for you to get placed. Come in with a flexible approach and you will always be happy. I'm telling you this as sincere advice. Can we do 1-year PGDM without leaving the current? No. My answer to that, I assume you mean PGPM. My answer to that would be, this is a full-time program and we've just told you that it's a very hectic full-time program. So you'll have to leave your job and then come. Gap year effect for fresher. So look, gap year is always a bit of an issue. But if you can explain it nicely in your interview and put it down properly in your CV, then that question gets addressed, which means what is it that you were doing during that gap year? That explanation has to be very clear from your side, right? So with that, I've come to the end of the questions that have been typed in. If there's any others, I noticed some raised hands. So any of you who wants to ask any other questions, I'll be very happy. We still have some time to go on this. If not, yeah, there is one that has just come in. No, I think, yeah, I think I've covered all of it. Any other questions before we sign off? And I'll be very, very happy to, answer those. If not, then we can sign off. Just one moment. I think we have got some new questions. Yeah. Look, the question on percentage of marks I've answered repeatedly. So I hope you've understood. You are eligible technically with 56%, but we would warn you that there could be some companies that may not consider you for placement. Vamsi is again asking, if a person is placed, he can't other. Yes, Vamsi, thus far we have not been able to accommodate a second placement for anyone. Our first objective is to make sure that the entire batch is placed before we start offering a second opportunity to any of our students. So that rule we have stuck to for many, many years. And I think this batch is going through that same policy as well. Okay, I think with this, there's one more. Average CTC of PGDM. PGDM is running slightly lower than PGPM. So the average there would be close to 10.6 or 10.7. So roughly a lakh lower than where we are in PGPM at this point in time. Okay. Is there a hostel? No, we do not have a hostel, but we do provide assistance with the PG accommodation, paying guest accommodation, and typically there are at least 2 or 3 good ones very close to our campus, and all of our students are able to find accommodation there. In fact, very few of our students commute from their homes, if any. So I think you should not face a problem. It's a very, those of you who are familiar with Gurgaon would know that our location is very central. Yeah, we are barely 5-minute ride from the metro station, and most of these PGs are within a 1.5 to 2 kilometer distance. Right. One other question. So there's one question which I can take up. 7 years experience currently, CTC is around 7 lakhs. Can I get good placement? My answer to you categorically is yes. Yeah, 7 years should not be a problem. And you should be able to comfortably go well above that salary. Now, I don't want to hazard a guess in terms of whether you'll double it or it will go up, 1.5 times, or it will go from 7 to 10. I don't want to hazard a guess. That will depend on the roles you apply for, your own capability, and a host of other things. Last question that I have here is, no, there's one which says, any prerequisite to prepare for PGPM HR? Not really. Those of you who get admitted to the program, we do give you a lot of pre-reads, and there'll be some bridge courses also that you will be assigned to, which we expect you to come prepared with those things. But all that will be administered to you directly by the college, so you don't have to worry about it. Shall I equip myself with specific skills to be the best fit for placement? My answer to you would be, you need not worry about that at this point in time. Once you join, there'll be plenty of time for you to take care of that. And there'll be plenty of placement help given to you to ensure that you are fully prepared. So don't start worrying about that right now. Abhishek is now asking, why do companies prefer more PGDM versus PGM? My answer to that would be no, it does. That is not factual. I've just said that some companies prefer people with experience. There are others who only go to to 2-year programs. And there are a lot of companies which consider both. Number of students in one batch in PGDM. PGDM, I believe, is around 240 is their capacity. And I believe they will be filling that up this year comfortably. When will the course material or content from SOIL for this 1-year course? Our broad curriculum is already published, but if your question is about the bridge courses, you will get that material as soon as you sign up for the program and you're selected. Okay, with that, we've come to the end. I will like to sign off. Thank you again very much to each of you for attending. And if there are other questions that are there, our team would be very, very happy to help you with it. Please feel free to reach out to me or to any other member of our team. Thank you very much. Goodbye. And we hope to see some of you in the next program.